Hi guys, Alice Taylor here, and today we're going to talk about the new Taylormade drivers for 2017. Now, only just been kind of released so that the public knows about them. I was very fortunate that I was in a position a few weeks ago to go down to London to see the product. Didn't get to hit it, but got to see it, hear what it's about for next year, and was really excited about what I saw, but wasn't able to talk about it until right now. Now the product has just been launched in West Palm Beach, Florida. Clearly if you look around, I'm sat at a very chilly Lytham Golf Academy, so I don't know whether my invite was lost in the post as it was last year, but I've seen the product. I'm going to talk you through how I see the product being, and then next week I'm going to get to hit the new drivers, and I'll get some videos on there to show you how they perform, because Taylormade's line for this year is same letter, everything better. So last year we had M1 and M2 drivers. So we will be continuing with M1 and M2. Now I think that's a great idea. I think part of the problem when Taylormade and other manufacturers switch model is they change the name and kind of the consumer's not necessarily sure what that's all about. So I think M1, M2 performed amazingly well. You've only got to look at the number of players that used it and the number of players that switched at the end of 2016. I think 13 out of 14 of the Nike players switched into the Taylormade driver and metalwoods. So clearly they were a really good performing club. But let's talk about next year's models, talk about what benefits there might be and whether you guys might be looking to try them. So, first change for next year will be M1 driver. So we can see when we look at the top of the head, it's a much bigger footprint than last year. So overall in the head there's 43% more carbon. So that multi-material, the carbon material that's in the head, 43% more. So they're able to change the shape and size of the footprint. Still only 460cc in its biggest version. There's also a 440 version in this, but you can see from the top it looks completely different to last year's model, while still retaining that really polished kind of prestige look of being a top-end driver. But where you see the biggest change with the driver is as you turn it over and we look at the sole of the club. So the toe area in M1, you can really notice how they've stripped the weight out, put that carbon material in there. We've still got the T-track, so the track running down the face, draw to fade, able to move that centre of gravity around a little bit more. But it's the track at the back where Taylormade have made a big change. So they've made the track longer, so it's 64% apparently more adjustable from front to back than the original M1. We've also got a slightly lower centre of gravity, but it's going to make it a more forgiving driver while still producing very low spin. Okay guys, so when you look at M1, I think it looks very different. The top, there's enough similarities that it's still a Taylormade driver, it's still from the M family, but I think it's subtle what they've done on top, and I think that's good. But when you look at the sole of the club, really some big changes in there. And very noticeable on the colour. We've moved away from red and moved into more of the yellowy green. That I think we've seen a similar colour with another manufacturer before, but I'll leave that for you guys to decide whether that's the case or not. So when we move from M1, the other driver for this year is replacing last year's M2. Will come of no surprise to you that it's going to be the M2 as well. So again, when we look at the top of the club, as we've seen with M1, the white, the amount of white and how they've shaped the white on top, very different from the initial M2 driver. But again, it's when you turn it over and look at the sole of the club, this is where you see the big changes. So again, just like with M1, a lot more carbon in the crown. So again, there's 43% more carbon in M2 as there is in M1. But you'll notice on the sole, there's geoacoustic sole shaping. Now that's a very fancy word. Apparently it's geometry and acoustic, but it's going to sound very different to last year's model. Still, I think it's going to be a very, very forgiving model, and I would still say, I still think M2 is going to be the big seller out of M1 and M2. But with M2, there is also another model of M2. So there's also going to be the M2 draw. Now, I think other manufacturers have had drivers that have had more of a draw bias with a bit more weight in the heel, helping that club face rotate through impact. And I think other manufacturers have done well in the marketplace. So even though with all the Taylormade product, the adjustability of the sleeve changes club face angle, I think to have something like this, I think is a really good move for Taylormade. I think when you look at it at the sole, it's very noticeable that it's draw as well. So for the guy who fades the ball, he likes the fact that he might draw this driver. I think he'll probably just fade it a little bit less, but I think it's got real shelf appeal. Again, it's got the great colour on there, so the whole family matches on colour, but it's very noticeable if the guy's going in there, and ideally they're going to get fitted, but if he goes into the shop and he knows pretty much what shaft and what loft, but he wants something that's going to help straighten those drivers, that draw's definitely going to be the one for him. So guys, like I said, 4 models then. So we've got M1, 460 and 440. We've got M2 and we've got M2 draw. Now, again, I've not hit the product. I've seen it and I'm going to be hitting it very, very shortly. And I can't wait to test it, get it on my channel so you guys can see how it performs. But the fact that same letter, everything better, is a big claim from Taylormade, because I thought last year's product was very, very good. And bearing in mind I'm already in the market for a new driver, I've been very, very close to putting M2 in my bag already. The only reason I haven't is actually the fact that I knew there was a new one coming. Is it going to perform better? The $1 million question. But as soon as I get a chance to test it, I'm going to let you know whether I think it'll perform better. Taylormade are making some great noises, as you'd expect with new products, but the test will be, when I hit it, does it perform better than the old model? I suspect it will do. We can maybe keep that spin low, making it a little bit more forgiving, and if I can get a little bit more speed, that's going to help me hit it further, and then redistributing the weight around the outside of the head with every model is going to potentially make it a bit more forgiving. So guys, apologies that I've not been able to hit any shots as yet. Like I said, I've not been able to hit the product to get that information to you. I know a couple of guys have been in a fortunate position to be able to do that. Hopefully I will, and I definitely am next week. So that'll be going on. Hope you get a chance to try the new product as soon as it's out. It's available from the 27th of January for you to actually buy, but I believe you can pre-order from the middle of January. So guys, as ever, thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Like and share it if you've enjoyed it. Comment below and I'll try and get back to you. Please subscribe if you don't already. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.